Thanks for swinging in for a little THG. Today's project, I'm taking these stock tanks that were meant for livestock watering, and I'm going to give them an outer copper finish for my planters. You can purchase muriatic acid at your local hardware store. I got mine at Home Depot. One tip I learned really quickly is do not use this indoors. Just the tiniest little drop will burn your skin and is really bad news. So please make every precaution and use it outside. Keep your pets away from it, and definitely keep your children away from it. Don't let them anywhere near you while you're using this. Once I got through running around and realized that the vinegar isn't going to work and all these other things that people had suggested were not going to work, and I got the muriatic acid, once I applied it, it only took about an hour to complete that part of this process. So it was really quite quick. Now about this sticker. This proved to be absolutely unbeatable for me. I scrubbed on that Hastings sticker that was on the front for a day and a half. I tried. I used vinegar. I used baking soda. I used Gooby Gone. I used metal hard scrapers and tried to scrape it off. I even used a pumice stone. That sticker was not coming off. Okay, so you can see now the little swirls that my scrubby is making. It's finally working. Now, before I had tried the muriatic acid, I had used all of those other items that I just named. The baking soda, the vinegar, the Gooby Gone, all these different things to try and get this galvanized steel to a point where I could paint it. And it wouldn't work with any of those things. So I finally went to Home Depot. They're the ones that told me to get the muriatic acid, so that's what I did. Now I assumed, you can see on my sticker there how hard I've been scrubbing. And I destroyed my hands doing it. I scrubbed so hard for so long, I actually had a really bad issue happen with my hand that slowed me down as well. I'll show you a picture right here. So yeah, the sticker, I had been completely beaten, so I gave up and decided to just sand everything eventually. But first I needed to finish scrubbing with this little green scrubby from the kitchen so I could get all the stock tank on the outer sides covered in this muriatic acid and get as much of that galvanized stuff off as I could. I figured once I got back from Home Depot with the acid that maybe that would take the sticker off, but not even that would work for the sticker. So here you can see I am just continuing to scrub with the scrubby until I've done all sides all the way around on both stock tanks. I then rinsed them thoroughly. Probably more than I needed to, but I was dealing with that acid and I didn't want to take any chances of my animals getting into it. Plus, it does say on the acid that if you do not rinse it completely, it can continue to be activated and will eat through and continue to eat through all of the finish on your stock tanks, so it would eventually cause a hole. So I continued to rinse everything thoroughly, and then I rinsed my lawn as well where I had done this and sprayed it all down. Let me add a tip here. While you're doing this outdoors, make sure that you have a hose right there ready to go in case you need it. You know, if some was to get on your skin or, some emergency happened, just have your hose ready to go. But you can see now the discoloration on the tank. So it's been etched now with this acid. I also wanted to add that I wanted to neutralize the acid. And I had read on the instructions that vinegar and baking soda would help to neutralize it and stop any of the chemical reactions. So I ran out of white vinegar, but I did have some apple cider vinegar. So I used that, poured that all over on all sides of both stock tanks. And then I sprinkled on baking soda, scrubbed that all in. And I wanted to just be sure that I had stopped any further etching by this acid. And then I again rinsed everything really, really well, including the lawn, before I moved on to the next step. So here I got a medium grit sandpaper, and I got that just at Walmart. And I began to lightly sand the outside of the stock tanks. And I wanted it to be sanded enough that you could see the sanding marks. You can kind of see them there. And I did that on both stock tanks. And then I once again rinsed them completely. Now, given the condition of my hand by about now, and that I just felt totally beaten by these stickers that I did not want on there, I was feeling really sad about the progress that I was making and the outcome that I was going to have because those stickers wouldn't come off. I was afraid that they were really going to show through when I did the actual painting. I chose these stock tanks for a number of reasons, one of which being once I get these set up and done the way I want, they will never have to be replaced, or at least not for 20 years. They're there to stay. So I really wanted these to turn out well. So I let them dry for a couple hours, and then I came back and I used a product that's called Kilts 2. You can get this at like Lowe's or Home Depot. I actually went to our city landfill where they have a paint recycling center, and I was able to get it for free. So I went there, and that's where I got it. And it was just fine. And given the amount of money that the stock tanks were and all the spray paint and all the different things that I had tried to get the etching on the galvanized stock tanks, I was glad for a break there. So yes, your local landfill may very well have a free paint recycling center where you can find some things like this if you would like to give it a try. If not, you can buy a gallon of this Kilts 2 for like, I think it was like 25 or 30 bucks. I eventually got smart and began to tip up my container. It would be common sense, I would think, but I would suggest if you do have a garage or a shed that you can work in and a table to put your stock tanks up on, that is a much better way to do it than what I had to do. Here you can see I finally did get smart and started tipping up my tanks, and that was a lot easier to get the kilts spread on evenly. And I just used a foam brush here. One day I'll have a garage and a workshop or something, but until then, I just have to make do where I can. And I'm not going to let that hold me back. You know, a lot of people have always said, well, you can't really do that. You don't have this, you don't have that. And I'm tired of waiting, you know. I think it's okay for us to use what we've got and make the best of it. And if it doesn't turn out perfect, it doesn't turn out perfect. But I'm giving it my best, and I'm doing my best. And I'm excited to see what this turns out like. I was still pretty discouraged over the stickers. And I hadn't yet come up with the idea that I have now. I have an idea. I'll share it with you in a little while. But I was still pretty discouraged. But I thought, well, you know, maybe this kilts will help to cover up the stickers. There you can see what it looks like after I got one coat of the kilts on. And I painted only the outside of the stock tank, and I left the rim of it alone. I don't want to paint the inside because that's where we'll be growing our food, or, you know, my herbs or flowers or whatever, and I don't want anything toxic on the inside. I believe that was now after my second coat of kilts, if I remember correctly. So this is the paint that I used. I got it at Home Depot. I believe it was $9 or $10 a bottle. My hand was pretty damaged by this point, and I was having a really hard time holding that spray nozzle down. I'm curious as to what it would look like if I used a brush or a roller and bought copper paint, but I somehow don't feel like I could get the same look as I did using the spray paint. So I stuck with it. That's after one coat. The spray can said within an hour you have to put on a second coat, or you have to wait 24 hours. So by the time I got all the way around once, it had been a good 20 minutes and the other side was dry. So I started putting on the second coat. And you can see how much better it's already looking by the second coat, covering it much better. And by the end of this all, I had put on 3 coats total of the copper spray paint. Actually, it's antique copper. I switched to my left hand for a while because my hand was in so much pain, you guys. I can't even tell you how bad it was. Oh my goodness, it was awful. And then I got to a point too where I had to use 2 hands to hold the can and spray at the same time. But I persevered. I was not giving up. And this had already taken me 3 days, and it shouldn't have. It should have only probably taken me 1 day or a day and a half at the most. But the stickers and the scrubbing and all that stuff had really given me a hassle, and I'd had to go back to town twice. So I was discouraged about the time it took. But finally, I was beginning to get a result, and I was super, super happy to see this. And I think there I'm starting my 3rd coat. And it's turning out really pretty. I was just so excited. So I got this idea from a lady I was watching on YouTube, and she was standing next to her finished products, and they were gorgeous. And she explained very well how to do it, the whole process, but she didn't show it. And so I thought that I would do that process and show it as I did it. However, she said that she used a toilet bowl cleaner to get all the galvanized, shiny parts off. I didn't want to go and spend a lot of money on toilet bowl cleaners when I had tried vinegar and everything else that other YouTubers had said. I didn't see a good result from vinegar. So the muriatic acid was it, and I think you can see now from the result, I'm really happy how this came out. I'm really excited, you guys. And I like the spray paint because it leaves it looking genuine, I think, and not splotchy or no brush strokes or anything like that. And I really am pleased with the result of it. And there is both stock tanks painted. And one thing I noticed that I didn't plan on, I didn't know this before, but I noticed that as the day moves on and it gets darker outside, these change color in the late afternoon. They have a darker tone to them. And that was a really fun surprise. It's just the little things in life, you guys, that make me so excited and make our lives worth living. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. I hope you have a really great day.